Hello everyone, welcome to the JCast Network. I'm your host, Aaron Harmon. We had the opportunity to speak with director Dan Wolman about his film Gei Oni, Valley of Strength. This is a story about love and the first pioneers' experience in building modern state of Israel. Let's take a closer look. Whenever you start the process of developing a film, there's a lot of excitement, and this film is very powerful. Tell us why you decided to create this film.
Well, actually, the film Gei Oni, or Valley of Strength, is based on a novel. And, what started it was the fact that I read the novel. It's not that someone told me that, this would make a great film. I simply read it because I like reading. And there was two things that really attracted me in the novel. And one of them is the human story of a woman who gets married, is forced to get married to a man because of lack of funds, because of problems. And she has a problem. She cannot touch and she cannot be touched. The man is a widower and he's attracted to her, but she doesn't allow him to touch her. So this fascinated me. And the second thing was, the period. I admire the pioneers, the people who came, the first Aliyah at the end of the 19th century. And, there's something very visual about the novel. It takes place in the Galilee. And so I thought all these, things would make a good film.
Did anything surprise you as you were filming this movie?
Well, I think that the first thing is the actors, because I did take a risk. I took an actress for the lead. I took an actress who just finished theater school, 23, 24-year-old, no experience in cinema. Also the lead, so this is Tamar Alkan and Zion Ashkenazi. Both of them have never been in a film before. And suddenly there was something, and sometimes you really take a risk and suddenly you end up hating the characters that you choose. But this was fantastic. Suddenly there was a chemistry between them, and I could see that she has a lot of power. It was first of all, it was a very difficult shoot, because we decided that the most important element in the novel is the fact that there is no water. There was a real drought historically in these years of 1882, 1885. So we decided to shoot it in August, in Israel, August, in the Galilee. It is really terrible. Now, some of the actors, like, the famous Yiddish actor Bodo, Annabella, Foreman, some of these actors are, well over 75. And still, they came in the heat and this, and I was amazed, with that. So it's not surprise, but really it was, it was exciting.
Going back to your actors, because
yes.
that's as a director and trying to get into the heart of a book.
Right.
It's sometimes difficult to bring that to life, and the actors have their own methods, and trying to connect to their own script. Right. Was there anything specific that you did to say, like, this is the way the pioneers felt? This is like, how do you get to that level?
Yeah. Well, first of all, there are all kinds of systems, or there are different attitudes and approaches. As some, like directors like Ford, for example, didn't like to have rehearsals, and Renoir loved to have rehearsals. I am more like a Ford person. I think that when an actor, you work with him too much, it doesn't sound right. If he says, I love you 20 times, the first time might have truth to it, but the 20th time, I don't think so. Anyhow, for me, it was right. The thing that so I didn't bring them 2 months ahead of time, and I didn't have them sleep in the mosquitoes and, conditions like in the 19th century. But, I think that for me, it was, a lot of times I said, take your time. This is not today. It is the 19th century. Try to be there. Try to be a part of the landscape. I think this was it.
Yeah. And, how do you transform modern day, Galilee to the pioneers' Galilee?
Okay. Obviously, to shoot in Rosh Pina today, which is Gei Oni, the ancient, the Arab village which it was at the time, to shoot today is impossible, with jacuzzis, satellite dishes, and beautiful villas there, etc. So I had to look for places, and I did find in a place nearby. So it is a mountainous area, very similar to Rosh Pina, near Safed. I found a place it's called Kibbutz Amiad, and there the mountains are still barren, very biblical, and so I shot a lot of it there. And when you have a problem of props, you have a problem of costumes. Luckily, the opera in the late 19th century, great operas were done. And in Israel, I found at the Opera House in Tel Aviv, I found costumes that were right for the period. And so it was really, we worked, I think, at least half a year before the shooting of the film, going to flea markets, going to theaters, to all kinds of storage of wardrobe, etc., to find the things.
And it's hard sometimes to connect to different types of audiences. New York is its own animal, opening at the Quad Cinema, and this has been filmed around the world. What have you seen audiences' reactions to the film?
Well, the film really, I took it was shown in Cambodia, it was shown in Goa in India, it was shown in Bangalore, and it was shown in China, in Chengdu, Hefei, and others, and it won prizes in other countries. In Romania it won, in China. And I think there's something universal about the story, because, obviously most of these people don't know anything about our history and about our tradition. And still, there's something again about this woman who underwent through the pogrom of this terrible trauma. All her family were killed, and she was, traumatized in a terrible way. And you see how she grows, from a weak point, from being a stranger, she slowly falls in love with the landscapes and gets to know the people and becomes an important person in the group. That story of a person, a weak person, growing stronger, I think touches people. It doesn't matter wherever they are.
Sure. Another aspect of filmmaking is fundraising, and that's sometimes the most difficult part. You can have the best script, you have the best actors, but it all comes down to the kesef. Right. Tell us how you got around that.
If you look at my filmography, you see that I've made many films, and I succeed somehow, without being rich, to make a film. Every 3-4 years I come up with a film. Some of my films are extremely low budget, but for me it's very important to create. Luckily enough, for young people today, digital films is much less expensive than films in the old days. So, but I think for me now, the big sponsor of movies is television. In Israel today, I think there's one very big private producer who invests in films, and that's Edry, Moshe Edry, who invests in a lot of Israeli films and has contributed to the success of a lot of the film industry. But I, for example, could not succeed raising money for this film. I approached the Film Foundation, so and got negative answers, but Israeli television said to me, we'd be interested in a TV series. So the author and me, Shulamit Lapid and myself, we came to them, we said, okay, we'd agree to make a TV series, but first let me make a film, give me a year and a half to exploit it in the cinemas, and then I'll make for you a television series. So they gave me the beginning, the seed money. After that, I went to Keren Avichai in Israel, Avichai Foundation. They also liked the story, they gave me some money. And then the Tel Aviv Foundation gave me some more money. So it was a long process. I think I optioned the rights for the novel about 11 years ago. Wow. And then it took about 6-7 years until I found the right combination to make the film.
And that's important, find the right money, the right people, the right connections. As you look forward to releasing this in other places, you talked a little bit about how it relates to different people. What are you hoping for the New York community to react?
Listen, because I'm an old-timer, I've tasted everything. My first film was a big hit in New York. My first film was released here in 1970, and it was called The Dreamer. It's played for over 3 months at Carnegie Hall Cinema. And it was there were these lines. In America, unlike in Israel, people wait outside. There were these lines, and it was just a fantastic experience. The box office was sold out, and it was great. So I hope that something crazy would happen. But today, I think the PR person told me of the cinema told me that every week there are something like 25, 30 films, new films opening in New York. Obviously, there's so many temptations to the New Yorker, all these things happening at all these museums and places. So here there's a big competition, but I hope still the word will get around and people will come to see it.
Especially, it speaks to our Jewish history. There's not a film, at least to my knowledge, that really dives into the early Israel, the pioneers building the land, and the connections that are made. When I was at one of the cemeteries, and we were by the pioneers, by the Kinneret, and you saw like what they went through, from the dying from the diseases and the malaria. It's like it really it worked. You're learning about the seeds of the state, which is truly unique. And there's not really a film that, at least I've seen, that really goes into that. So it's exciting to see a different spin on that.
There have been, of course, Hem Hayu Asara, they were 10 by Baruch Dinar, and there was, I think, The Dreamers by Barabash, and there were a few others. But I think, again, if I can tap on my own shoulder, say that there is something, and this is what the Israeli critics have written, that it's a human story about basically a love story, but in the background there is that story of the beginning of the materialization of Zionism, and but there's something believable in it, and that was my aim.
As you can see, Gei Oni is a powerful film about love, and showed us how pioneers gave their all to help found the modern state of Israel. This is Aaron Herman, and thank you for watching.